Welcome back to VCT Americas, where it was NRG's map choice, but it's MIBR who comes out on top in Icebox. A close map at that, but ultimately going to feel good to come away with the victory on your opponent's map choice and get the revenge that you've been looking for since Berlin 2021. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell MIBR was looking for that revenge. The way they were playing, the way they were hitting their shots, the way that JZZ was just like going off, like all of it was just amazing to watch mechanically, and the way they were playing, it looked like they kind of made NRG play to the way they wanted them to play.
I think on an individual level, it's difficult to outclass NRG, and yet that's what we were seeing in this game. And that's what I said before the match started. MIBR's talent is good enough that on a good day, they're going to be able to outclass people and get upset results. And I think that this should be considered an upset happening here, because NRG's map pick, we've seen them dominate on Icebox before, and yet so many moments where just straight up MIBR willing to take the fights, win the duels, and then the whole area of the map just belongs to them.
And what a beautiful thing, right, for your addition to the squad to be a former duelist, now initiator, who's still putting up duelist numbers alongside Heat.
Yeah, I mean, even on the post plants, the retakes, everyone was just fighting, and MIBR was not scared to take those fights. And I think that's something that they finally held over NRG. I think that their nerves are finally gone in that aspect.
Also, I mentioned before that without the Sky in that composition, JCC actually does have to be crazy aggressive. You can't just send a recon in and hope that Heat does all the fragging. So the fact that JCC's willing to just get stuck in there and brawl is very helpful for making that composition work.
And while those were the two names that were tips of our tongues going into the series, we heard Van say right at the end there before the commercial break, another player that we have to call out is Maurice, who's holding it down on the flanks and finding a couple really big clutch two pieces here to snap some round wins.
Yeah, I mean, just the precision on this guy's aim, knowing that he's an IGL kind of puts me to shame. I should be playing like this. I mean, he really proved that you know when they say IGLs don't really have to frag that much? Well, I mean, we just all got proven wrong, because he not only fragged, he took map control, he took space, he set up lurks, he denied lurks as well, and on the post plants, he was just playing like an amazing game overall.
I'm writing all this down. This will be my report card for you in the future. Yeah, I'll come back and be like, so how do you think you did in all of these different categories as the IGL? Now, earlier, we had a chance to speak with Maurice about the team's outlook coming out of week one and towards the rest of the split, considering that tough loss to Loud.
Bom, com certeza jogar da forma que a gente jogou contra a Loud dá muita confiança. É um time muito bom, um time campeão do Champions, vice-campeão do Lock-in, então a gente sabia que o nosso trabalho tinha sido bem feito, que a gente jogou uma ótima partida, e a gente também conseguiu concretizar isso reassistindo o nosso jogo com comunicação. A gente percebeu que a gente conseguiu chegar mais ou menos no sweet spot que a gente queria do campeonato, como o time estava se sentindo, como estava sendo feita a comunicação, o freeze time. Então a gente viu que realmente a gente está acertando, está chegando no ponto certo, e a gente sabia que isso ia deixar a gente muito mais preparado e mais confiante para esse próximo jogo.
I mean, just in a couple of short clips that we've seen from this squad today, Sideshow, I am wildly impressed by the kind of the vision they have for the rest of the league, and how, while they can recognize there are favorites, around them necessarily, Loud being one of them, of course, they don't look at any team as unbeatable.
No, and that is not the case. I mean, there is so much parity within this kind of middle of the pack and upwards within the Americas League. I mean, there's not that much of a gap between the teams that are fighting up at the top and the teams that are fighting to just get the first kind of wins.
Yeah, well, speaking of parity, maybe later in the day we'll have to revisit those power rankings that you decided to dive into at the top of the day.
They're
because
wrong.
I think those might be, they're going to get shaken up. We'll do another power ranking segment tomorrow. It'll be week 3.5 or something like that. Now, before map 2, let's go ahead and head into our aim lab shoot around. For this one, we're going to be watching over the shoulder of none other than Victor for NRG, looking for him to maybe create some magic here, map number 2, and give us a third one in the series.
I mean, the magic he was doing was already amazing. Not only was he setting up Sam for amazing plays, he was setting up his entire team and utilizing his own utility in such a way that he was, 1, granting himself kills, and 2, granting his team plays that they can make around it in order to open up the round. And I think him just overall as a player just did a really great job.
Yeah, I'm always impressed with his performance on Icebox in terms of how he uses his utility, but also he's 1 and 5 in opening kills there on Icebox, and I think that tells a bigger story. Almost twice the first kills MIBR had on Icebox, almost twice the gun rounds won when it's full buy versus full buy as well. So overall, I think there was a bit of a fragging differential going on. Sometimes NRG can be slow to start in these maps, but that's their map pick and they've just lost, it doesn't bode that well. Even if we go to map 3, we don't know how good they are at split.
Right, exactly. That's a total unknown later down the line if we even get there. But I think the stats that you just threw out are really, really interesting considering the map score, right, or the round score in that map. It was only a 3-round differential, but as you say, it was MIBR coming out on top of the gunfights far more often than a +3. And that speaks again to what NRG can do from a strategic, tactical side to keep themselves in it. That if they do start finding 1 or 2 more of those first duels going in their favor, all of a sudden we could be looking at going the distance.
Yeah, I mean, and that's really something to do with the comp too that they were playing. Like they were playing the double controller, like only 1 initiator comp. They had information, but they didn't have as much fighting power. So they kind of took it in their own hands to force NRG to fight and play to their strengths, which was fighting and making sure that they could get the control by fighting.
I think it was really impressive the way that MIBR were able to get value out of that Viper Harbor comp, right? That's not a team that we normally associate with that. It's also really good on Pearl. And not just that, globally in VCT, that comp has less than a 40% win rate. So actually getting value out of it showcases that you're better than most of the teams that are running it. You're up there with, the ones that are really getting great value and understanding how the composition works.
Well, we talk about tools. Let's see what each of the players, or each of the teams rather, come into map number 2 with when it comes to utility that they'll be equipped with. We see all the way through 3 picks for either side at this point.
I'm expecting this to be very similar, like mirrored picks on both sides. We've seen both of the teams playing this double smoke kind of composition on this map. The only difference has been Artis, picking up the Raze, Heat on the Jet. So I think really though, when you look at the execution and how good it was from Muriz and from RGL, MIBR look dangerous here.
Yeah, I think if they really, honestly, I'm expecting to see Heat just be set up on a line on that defense side, on attack side, just set up on a line with his off and be able to just hold it down. I know that he can get pushed off by Harbor, Sky, and Viper, but I really think that they need to put way more trust in Heat as an operator to be able to hold it down and be able to just get them the information they need without actually trying to use their own Sky for information. And I think that that is something that both these teams MIBR can do it because they have the Jet op. Artis, I'm not 100% sure if he's going to be able to. If he pulls out the Raze off, I'd love to see
I was about to say, what, you're not feeling the Raze off today? What's going on?
I'm feeling it, but definitely, I think Artis definitely, on the stage was a little wide swingy. So I think it'd be really cool if he pulls out it off, but we'll see.
Look, Athena's feeling it. NRG's got to be feeling it if they want to get us to a map 3. MIBR, though, hoping to wrap it up in 2. Let's find out if this one will go the distance as we send it back over to Vansili and Riv for the call.
Thank you so much, The Desk. Yes, indeed, we're moving now into Pearl. Yeah, we see Artis coming out as a Raze, but thankfully to start things off on that second map, we do have NRG playing on the attack side first, which then allows for you not to focus and think about that hop yet, and maybe think about those paint shells to gain that space.
Yeah, paint shells, get your double controller walls out there. We're on map already, seeing Victor get that arm ready to fire out his walls. There he is. In the game, on to Pearl. Can MIBR keep themselves in the lead here and just take NRG down with this aim, these shots, getting these 2K, 3K rounds on the lurks of Muriz? Quick B play to set up here for the side of NRG. And we'll see this wall from MIBR constantly on that mid side of the map. So keep an eye on that high tide if it changes. Slow push up on the Cascade vans, but they're committing pretty well here with the spike pretty far up with Sam's Harbor.
Yep. Similar things on the attack too, playing this double controller.
Yep.
Cascade up. Then you have Flash trying to clear up behind the pillar and also in that cubby towards long B. Now you go for the wall execution. We're just ready to play a very aggressive flank now for MIBR. As you have a comp at least here for NRG that could play that pulse plan with paint shells, nano swarms, snake bites. There's great opportunities to play off-site at long B. But it's just Victor by himself. Getting that first.
Victor!
Oh my, okay, that works out.
2 class.
Maurice watching from the spawn. Patient play from MIBR, thinking that NRG was going to re-aggress out there. Thra and now RGL. Trying to regain towards the map. Frenzy on a 1 versus 1. Some at the top of B heaven. As the Cove comes out to spray onto the Frenzy, but there's almost no time. Som's playing this perfectly. And a round's gonna come in here for NRG on the pistol.
Wow. Victor, surely you don't get 2 classic kills on 3 that are coming at you. Absolutely incredible play. Really big, important part of the round to get those impact frags for the retake. And stops the main flank. As you said, the aggressive 3-person flank coming in. Got a banana clip in that classic or something, I don't know. And really nicely played here by Som. Little ring around the rosy, cat and mouse on the Cove.
I also like that the turret was probably intentionally down there for NRG, for them to think, oh, they're probably still playing towards the site.
Right.
Victor played it perfectly there behind control.
Come flying in, feeling safe and secure. All right, default cascade to guiding light here. Orb control and
Denied.
push.
Finesse now moves up. And here comes the shots from the Sheriff. There's going to be so much info now on the 3 players, but the spike has fallen.
3v3.
Upgrades now coming out or looking to get picked up at least towards the boxes. As the Nanostorm clears them away. Alarm Art then pushed down. Artist gets the wall bang onto RGL.
High tide
Maurice
going
is
down.
still here with the Bulldog. High tide indeed is about to come down right here. And as it comes down, he gets the first.
Player standing.
Answered back by Crashies. Fra now with this Spectre.
Remaining. Team
Good
Ace.
trade-off in the end. A gamble stack towards the A site that makes it very expensive here for NRG.
That was huge by MIBR, especially. It was kind of a late hit, too. They allowed NRG to feel like the Cascade, the Flash didn't find anybody, and then they surge into the A main area to find that fight. Nicely done playing on the walls, but NRG still able to find the win there. Buys a round. Their bonus round is going to be an expensive one, Vans. They just go full in, so they're not thinking about anything else. But yeah, low armor is okay with the Vandals to fight back. He is obviously going to be finding that operator in a few rounds, and we'll see if MIBR can get activated before that. Another A push, but it's NRG B.
An expensive round indeed for NRG to invest in here, but this orb, super important for Som. Reckoning to open up the site potentially, then you can play the long range because we saw Guardians in the hands of Crashies. For me, it leans towards a passive play. Reckoning not getting any pings towards anywhere towards the site. Cove then for the plant.
Spike planted.
Molly's in the rest. Artist still going forward.
Towards that B-Link. Trailblazer out from JZZ. It's gonna get shot down by Som. Not gonna spot too much. Vulnerable by a snake, but big flash now. As Frog gets 2 kills. Artist on the backstab for the B-Link. But it comes down to those 2 players that we mentioned before. With Pulse Plant utility. Nanostorm down on 2. Victor still has potentially lineups here with the snake bites. The first one comes down. The Guardian for the first kill. And it's up to Victor on a 2 versus 1. Who does get that pick onto FRZ. Now there's not going to be any time left. Wow. Victor answers back. JZZ saves, and it's NRG with 3.
I almost broke a sweat.
You wonder how the economy will work here. The rounds look good, but this may be a pressure buy here from NRG, and MIBR will be feeling the same. That gives them a bit of money to go back in. Now they'll be fine being able to throw weapons around. So NRG feeling good after that buy. We'll see this one more time. I thought Artist's push over onto B-Link was just too strong for him, right?
Yeah.
It's knowing the team can then focus the rest of how MIBR is coming in without having to worry about one of the most impactful areas of a re-entry. They're setting themselves up for success on the side of NRG right now. Marshals bought up here for MIBR. And NRG is just moving forward. That delay was necessary because it does not look like W will stop being held by NRG this round.
And Trailblazer 2 being set down. Alarm bot not being used by Verizon into this round. They want to save that utility into the next, not using too much here into the half buy that they got. JZZ with that hero rifle, saved from that previous round. Moving up now. Oh, Som on that timing.
One less.
Gets picked off. Artist looking to avenge his teammate. Not allowing a second player to move out to pick up the weapons as JZZ continues those duelist numbers on this initiator roll, this time as a Sky. And that's 2 weapons that get picked up now by MIBR into the late round.
That initial energy control looked amazing. They had a line of agents all the way up the middle of the map. the moment they turn around at B-Link, all of them get taken down. So unsure why they wanted to give that space back up. We did see the spike was dropped, which is why this late round is then going back towards
30
B.
seconds left.
It's going to be a tough hold here. 4v2, but it is a shorty and a sheriff on the other side.
Locked down in. They're looking for the second one. The flick back gets it. Back into the frenzy to break it. It's a 2 versus 2. Snake bite into the B-Link. The awareness out of this player coming out from Victor is amazing. The attacker killjoy will allow Victor to reposition down towards the back of the B halls, especially with the toxic screen coming up. Flash now, full blind, it's up to 1. JZZ with a 4th into the round. Crashy's making it a 1 versus 1. JZZ cannot get the ace. It's Crashy's instead with the Red Bull clutch.
It keeps going down to 1, but it just looks like NRG is not in a position to lose these situations. 3 rounds now. Victor having some outstanding plays to turn MIBR right on their head. Solo double kill there, moving into the destruction of the lockdown. Just instant thought process, right? It's not even giving the other team a moment to think. And it's a good push. Knowing it was the Marshall and the shorty, you might find a Phantom. He plays that game, and he plays it well. Crashies to be able to pull up on that clutch to bring 4 for NRG here. And they go back to A, work this orb.
Sometimes you got to gamble for those, and it works out. Heat now with an op, a second flash to come out to fight back. Trying to get a shot before he dashes away. Trying to get a lucky one through the cascade. But now it's a showstopper. Artist looking to clear space. Early shot. Oh my God, Heat gets one through. Finally onto the high tide. Heat now.
Spike planted.
Pit now comes out, sorry. As Artist at least, yes, has fallen under, but has created that space to allow NRG to play that pulse plant. Travelers are out on the attack, on the defense, on the retake. Snake bite to also stop any players from running down. It's only 1 tap onto the spike. Still 1 more snake bite available here for Victor. Just threw it down. Here comes the heal. Flash does not affect players. It's a 1-for-1 there, and it's Marie still fighting back. And unfortunately here for the rest of NRG, they got plowed by MIBR's retake.
Having the cover almost of allowing to get all the way up from that Viper's pit. It hurts, but it helped a little bit too, so they could keep swarming that choke point. Nicely done by MIBR. They really only had one choice there once they identified that nobody was in the extremities for this flank. And that was actually one of the tougher rounds to win. So they pushed through a big ultimate use round by NRG there. Showstopper coming out, Viper's Pit coming out. So things may be on the up and up here for MIBR. They have their own ultimate to use for Maurice. But that operator now for Heat, set up on screens at Long B. Again, this mid play. This is the second time they've done this. They leave Artis up to get that first frag, and this time takes a lot of damage in a flash.
Here.
Thankfully, though, at least it pushed back the defender FRC back towards Vines. The spray coming through control. JZZ, man.
What a call. Heat's like, I see a head. Shoot here on my ping. Great little comms teamwork there, identifying the position. Oh, Jake, what a smart trailblazer, too. They're reading so well right now where NRG could be, and that's a big sight find here for that trailblazer.
Even repositions ready for a flash. Should there be pressure coming out from NRG out towards B-Link. But things stay quiet into the round. NRG trying to hopefully catch somebody off guard. Trying to punish a mistake off a rotate. You heard that turret being placed down towards the spawn. Every angle is currently being watched now by MIBR. So NRG decides to move into the B site. High tide coming out on the defense. A crossfire setup towards the back of the B site.
Last player standing.
Unfortunately, there's only 1 more player remaining. Yes, we're able to punish one on that rotate. And Finesse is trying to do more econ damage if he can. But it's a flank on flank. Reeves closing the gap. Heat holding close range, just pinged it. He's ready for this. Easy kill. MIBR with 2.
And you just saw the dedication the 2 members of MIBR had to watch that B-Link, right? Heat has long, nothing gets through this. Heat doesn't die, no one gets on site. So the choice for NRG to try to get through that little bottleneck was unlucky for them. MIBR with the reads as well. JZZ with a great trailblazer to identify, right, that they could keep those defensive positions pretty late into the round. really putting a wrench in what NRG wants to do here for the last few rounds. And again, the operator control, slowing NRG down. They are not wide swinging these angles as they were before. Here, banking on if they can fight Heat, but they won't find him right away. Let's see how NRG reacts to this. Turret up, force forward with Cascade, and nobody across the map. If MIBR chooses to take space here,
There.
could get some good info, but they're all staying behind. Here's the Reckoning Van Silly. Let's just wait to see who they can push out.
And Trailblazer actually went onto the right side instead. Still going to be able to get a plant out from Som.
Yeah. Spike down.
I don't know about this idea of playing outside the site. A pit's available for Moritz.
I've got your trail.
FRZ moving in now for the first blood on the retake. Seekers on the attack to push out the defenders. Snake bites, nanoswarms, everything's up. Heat on the top of the boxes looking for this kill onto Victor. There's just too much utility as the pick comes back. Out on the defense. The
Ove is
spray
there.
out. Heat dashing forward. The pit then comes back down. And it's NRG across the board. Finesse with the last 2 kills. As, oh my god, it got chaotic. Lots of utility being used. But that's all you gotta do. It's the Phantom spraying through those smokes, and
Yep.
it's just NRG getting all the kills.
We are seeing quite a bit of Phantom supremacy lately, and MIBR knows how to get those defuses, and I think NRG knows that MIBR is good on those ninjas. How many times were we saying it with FRZ defuses last time, and Maria's defuses where MIBR was able to sneak those because they tapped the spike, play for the fight long, and then use the cove. MIBR still had the cove there. They just didn't get a chance to use it. NRG was not allowing those ninja defuse games to happen. So you're right. Unleashing the cover fire through those smokes as soon as they could. MIBR timeout coming through. Not doing too bad here figuring out the rounds they've got back in, but it doesn't seem like there's consistency. Figuring out where the op's going to be most effective maybe, because if NRG makes the site, they really deplete Heat's use of that op more and more the closer they get.
Yeah. And that's the tough part of playing an operator and against a double controller mentioned multiple times now. This current attempt of the meta from teams trying to pivot towards this double controller play to really nullify against the operator, when back then it was maybe that breach flash double initiator playstyle. And now here, at least for MIBR, off this timeout. They've been good at it the last time they called the timeout on Icebox, and we saw the comeback and even the victory from MIBR on the first map of Icebox. If you've missed it, make sure you watch back the replays later.
And this being an important round, you can see Murray's 6,600 credits spent, meaning dropping that weapon to RGL. If NRG can get another one, they make that money, that econ sting. Straight back to A. Who's hunting for an orb? It doesn't look like anybody's on deck just yet for NRG, but they are going to get some good denial on the Seekers for FRZ here. Or JZZ, rather.
Not allowing JZZ to get Seekers indeed, and even a lockdown coming out on the attack. Should allow here. I mean, there's still a gap on the right side. Thankfully, there's a high tide that allows for you to push in. Artist gaining that space, can get onto the top of the hut, but now is, oh my god, lurking in to get that entry onto Moritz. Platt comes in, FRZ, making himself known on that flank attempt on mid. Artist continues to push forward. Pain Shell's now available again, pushing Heat even further back. Even the boom bot, as he eats it down to 11 HP, now gets sprayed by Artist. The opener into a 3K, opening up the site, and forcing MIBR to retreat.
And they calculated the timing perfect, too. Right as that Viper's bite went down, Artist said, perfect timing. They're going to expect a bit of a delay. He flies straight in. The rest of the team was kind of there already. We saw the harbor plant going down from Som. So they really were not delayed too much, and I think that really caught Maurice off guard when he just sees Artist standing in front of him and the spike getting planted. Yeah, right on through. Artist did not stop on the train tracks there, getting a beautiful round to shut down a lot. I don't think this operator comes back up. So like we said, that was going to be a very big round for NRG in terms of MIBR's economy. A few low buys coming through here and right side of the map. Nope, they're hovering over to the left. NRG looks like they'll get mid control and just see what this new setup from MIBR looks like without an op.
Exactly, it's with Blade Storms instead into this round. So you force around a Blade Storm, half armor, and you want to fight towards long B. Heat moving forward, dancing around, hit by the flash, and even forced to dash away. Thankfully, he'll get a heal out.
Yeah.
Support from JZZ. But yeah, that change of pace, a change of strat from MIBR was quickly spotted by NRG, and that spray did a lot of damage. Heat still under heavy attack. Second cloud burst already used, has almost no utility left. It's gonna be down to his daggers. As MIBR shifting towards the A side because of all of this pressure. Trying to gamble stack towards there. But for NRG, 1 minute mark, still just playing that default.
Yeah, you see the alarm bot just placed down as well by Crashies. They want to be able to hover this area for a little bit, but they don't have time to check at that long. So just leaving, you can see pulling that alarm bot that was just placed, and the intention for this round starts to fall towards B. They've yo-yoed a little bit with that defense from MIBR, knowing it's on a low buy. So all they want is low numbers on this site, and they've gambled correctly. I wonder if we even have artists pop in here. They play as much contact as possible off the wall.
NRG's just waiting for the target screen to come back down to execute, even throwing their own flashes behind the defensive walls. They tap in, and we are playing very cautiously, anticipating some sort of a gamble stack for MIBR towards the B site. Becomes a safe plant. But MIBR have been good on these retakes from JGZ's flash. Artist playing in front of it, getting the first blood here. Right click misses, and support comes out from Finesse. A satchel kill onto Heat. So we talked about the good retakes from MIBR, the slight change from just the forward position from Artist.
Yeah.
Really coming to shine in the last 2 rounds. Once again, MIBR having 2 players forced to save.
And we do say it's kind of a Heat-activated MIBR because the way they play. Well, this is activate Artist. As soon as you saw him go in the back hall, he was just after Finesse's guiding light right there. The timing they have on these set plays right now, even if we saw MIBR back hall, it looked like it would have ended up pretty bad for him. In the end, it still does. You have Finesse with that really nice backup. So NRG playing off each other super well. Everybody kind of solo understanding the situation and never second guessing. That's what gives you these type of rounds here. 7-2 as they get back 5 rounds for themselves. Even with a few in the middle, they bring it back. And mostly to these rounds where they're getting the spike down, right? You can see that on the scoreboard. So they're getting into the site, finding ways to just stall out MIBR, and that's going to call MIBR to bring in a timeout.
Yeah, a nice little victory so far in terms of the battle of coaches, as already in round number 5 of this second map. You're already forcing both timeouts out of MIBR, so that's none left moving into the second half, where Chet still has the opportunity of using both of his should things fall not into place, actually, for NRG's playstyle. But so far, no complaints.
It's interesting, recently when talking to coaches in early timeouts, they always say, well, at the end, you always feel like I should have used it anyways. So just use it early sometimes. Again, in the case of NRG, not feeling like any of those need to be used, but MIBR wants to get ahead of these problems. A little bit of that overhead look from the coach to make them realize this is our goal. A lot of times you forget what your win condition is if you start playing to the other team. The desk said it. NRG might have been flexed to play MIBR's game on Icebox, which we just saw here. NRG much more in their own stride as they come in round to round. Showstopper is back up for Artist here. We actually just saw this a few rounds ago at the A site, helping them penetrate through with that Viper's Pit. And we'll see where else they decide to go.
Time to mobilize my pack.
I think that's the change. MIBR now going back into putting a Vandal into the hands of Heat.
It's a good call.
So allowing maybe the flood retakes to happen too.
That's exactly what I was going to say. A lot easier to retake. Big flank here, or lurk, I should say, by Victor. All the way back. Looks like he might even want to buy another gun on the round.
While he waits passively here, all of MIBR pushed out towards Plaza and rotated towards the B link. So there's already 4 players inside this B side, but it's a showstopper to come out. Unfortunately, doesn't land. Another Rosa as the Seekers are being answered back by JZZ. So an all for alt, a stalemate with 1 minute left on the clock. We're waiting for the rest of the utils, the next wave of the walls to come up here. Meanwhile, that lurk was lost from NRG. Oh, the drive-by denied, clotheslined. 1 more left to go, spotted by JZZ. As that's a great read by MIBR.
We saw how much they stalled it out until NRG had to actually come into sight without utility. That's MIBR just shooting ducks as they crossed into the site there. The mid fight, I think we're gonna see a little bit more now. FRZ and Victor lurking around each other, and FRZ was able to get the better of that round. I think it was really, really big to be able to deny that wall, right, that NRG wants to use to get into sight. So quick plays around the map actually affect what's going on in sight. Props to FRZ there for winning the 1v1. And it looks like they will play not super aggressive towards mid, but MIBR has now put 2 on that B link where we've seen Artis going quite a bit in the beginning of these rounds to see if they can trade back that harbor wall. And the frag. So that's the guiding light they would use until Artis goes in. Right there. Maurice is ready face to face.
NRG's just waiting for the poison order to come down. There it is. Cascade now with a Trailblazer around the corner, and Artis
Oh my gosh, doesn't
goes
matter.
for a drive-by without the satchel to get the kill. But RGL just heard that footstep. It's close. Putting that crosshair placement in, the wall bang across, and Artis again with another entry, make that even doubling it up.
I don't think we have to question anymore if he feels like switching roles has an effect.
Reckoning into the site. Heat now on a 1 versus 1 in the front of control. GZZ with the support to watch his back. So that's a spike down. Heat dashing forward to fight against Victor here. And wins it. Wow. Okay, the pivot. Spike just got picked up. We're rotating back towards the A site. Artis is stuck by himself in the back of the B halls. Just trying to keep them isolated into the B site, allowing now NRG to try to clutch a 3 versus 2.
Looking at the map for a moment there, Vans, it was so spread out, I was actually wondering who was on offense or defense the way that it just panned out. NRG is really trying to spread themselves so they can figure out how MIBR is playing. And now 2 to defend the site here. Util to come in. It's just a heal for the team. Guiding light might come up soon there.
Player standing.
The updraft misses him. Trying to get the backstab timing.
Finesse?
Oh, lights at the 2!
My ult's
And
ready.
it's not even a happy at the flash to come out, but Heat then swings wide.
Oh, they tried.
And MIBR is able to save that round thanks to that play from Heat, but that was so close there for Finesse.
Heat. Absolutely turning it up on that one.
Last round before
FNS
the
with
switch.
the idea of where the last player was. Just a slight sidestep mistake as Heat was still approaching. Artis here doing so much work in this round. The lineup happens, and then just that shoulder. Finesse being closer to the wall, Heat being further away. That's the way it plays out when you get modeled like that. Nicely done for a round to get picked up there as MIBR save another one.
You're actually happy that he missed the first couple of shots that allowed that unintentional lineup.
Right?
2 kills.
We love the collats here.
Last round to go. Full gun round for both teams. As NRG are once again fully focused on the same conditioning towards this B side.
Man, what a few rounds here that MIBR has been able to pull back. And we said they've been going down to the 1v1s almost all the time. They've had to work for it as NRG is putting up this huge first half fight. Artis, again, first kill.
Paint shells at the top 2. JZZ is going to be forced to just get away out of that position. Satchel charges up. As now a reckoning now comes out on the defense from RGL. Hit by a Trailblazer. Artis somehow still survives in the back. Is doing enough to allow just all of NRG to play the pulse plant. 2 nanoswarms are underground. The lockdown's not going to do much because we've played already outside of the radius of the lock-in. Placed down by MIBR. Artis still looking for more and has done some damage. The first nanoswarm to come out. You hear now the high tide coming down too. As that nanoswarm doesn't allow MIBR to tap onto the spike yet. Finesse now stuck in the corner, just running that clock down, doing what he can. And now finally tapped onto the spike. We're just spraying back, and there's just no time left. NRG will still capitalize on the first half to win it 8-4.
NRG coming
Switching
out in the
sides.
second game on the top of their game. Artis is 5 kills, 0 first deaths right now. There's no wonder to why they're playing so well in these rounds and being able to convert, because everybody is also there on these retakes, on these site helps. They have such good defensive B. Let Sam throw in mollies, play it patient. Really, really smart stuff from NRG in that first half with MRB slightly coming back. Let's throw it over to the analyst desk to see how they break down that first half.
Thank you so much, Riv. It's an 8-4 first half in favor of NRG. So after dropping their own map pick, they don't seem to be or have lost any confidence here on the second map, putting 8 rounds together.
Yeah, I think they looked really, really solid. I think as soon as they were like, okay, well, we can copycat your comp, and we can deny your op, and we can deny everything. So we're back.
The site execs just look so well put together for NRG, but this round was bonkers. I mean, JZZ gets 2, and then Victor's forced to scrap in the dirt, bringing it to MIBR, pushing up behind them to be able to take down the lockdown, and this clutch from Crashies to win an anti-eco round that never should have got this close. I think just demonstrating that NRG are forced to kind of get much more brawly in order to bring it to MIBR.
Yeah, JZZ with a 4-piece there, almost the ace to complete it all, but Crashies had something to say about that. We also charged NRG with controlling heat on that op, as we already mentioned, and it was a big difference there between the Jet and the Rays, and ultimately it seems like the answer is just throw every single piece of utility at him at the beginning of a round, and he won't find anything.
They definitely denied his control of any part of the map, any line, nothing. He was not able to, even on the retakes, he couldn't even peek out with this op and try to kill, like the post-plant scenarios. He was literally stuck behind loads and loads of walls and util and mollies and everything, to the point where his team at the end started just getting him a vandal. I mean...
Yeah, and the adjustment came a bit too late. We saw a good timeout where MIBR won a couple of rounds after that and really just tried to counterplay the execs that were coming through, especially on B. But at the end of the day, that is a really good bounce back from NRG. They often start these series a little slow and then come out of the gates map 2 or later down the road looking very hot. It seems the same here.
Yeah, now, of course, that all has to get done now for MIBR on the offensive side. They've got 4 rounds plus 1 to make up if they want to wrap it up here in 2 for NRG. Looking to extend this series to a 5th or a 3rd map, rather, and that would be split if we manage to get there. Back over to Vansili and Rib to get us into the game.
Thank you so much, Dash. Yes, Sideshow brings up a great point, actually. Riv, NRG usually known to start very slowly, whether in series, whether in tournaments, and then usually bounce back very, very strong. And it looks to be the case, at least on how they displayed their attack on Pearl so far. As now that difference comes in, now Artist continuing to play that race, now on defense. Don't think we're going to see an operator with how he's been playing on the entryway of the attack, but let's talk about this battle right here off the flash. It's still MIBR in the top, at least for a short stint, as Victor fights right back. Comes in for the 3rd into the round and even picks up an orb. That's a great start here for NRG. To be brawly, to fight like they wanted to, and also take control of the spike.
FRZ looking for a big lurk here, but it wasn't the right way. Still thinking somebody is coming over from the side of B. Once NRG actually has all 3 around that spike, it doesn't really matter where MIBR is going to come from. So just looking to pick up these final frags. The Ghost from Marines could definitely do some work, but I like the defense we have. The trifecta here. 2 classics and a Ghost set over by the spike. Just making sure nobody's grabs it. Easy. So NRG look like they're going to start off with another round for themselves. This obviously could get pretty freaky, but like you were saying, as NRG does get this energy going into their games, a lot of the times it kind of looks like...
Last player standing.
Looks like potentially Victor with an ace.
30 seconds
As he gets
left.
4 into the round. FRZ now spotted by the turret. And Victor and Crashies, the dynamic duo here.
Turret's destroyed.
Just looking to play together. Swing off contact as a nanoswarm still available for FRZ. It's not going to do too much. Now both of them are swinging out. Take 8 HP left. But there's no time. One of them is going to run away, and that's going to guarantee the round then for NRG. And Victor on top of that will get the ace.
And finishing that thought, when they do start winning, it always looked like somebody is wowing you, Vansili. So how about that? That actually worked out really well. It is. It's when it's Artist going into the side or Crashies getting a clutch. There we have an ace coming out. When NRG are able to come back back. It feels like they're gassing up one of their teammates, right? And that it just absolutely flows for the squad. A nice ace to come out. That'll definitely gas you up. Feeling pretty good. Victor almost close to ult here to be able to deny where MIBR could go very early. This Heat goes for that Marshall. MIBR wall towards A, wall towards B.
Okay, so
Starting
maybe
things off.
we are going to see eventually an artist on an operator on Raze because he's already
Good.
out here with the Marshall this round. No contact on that. At least know that Heat's also wielding a Marshall into the second round. For the rest though of MIBR, all pistols, lurking, breaking util.
Yeah.
With this lurk out from FRZ out towards Art.
Go get him.
So they throw up default wall on MIBR for Viper. Just to mess with whoever's at B, but this is never the hit, right? MIBR back and forth, yo-yo the map. How can you push and pull that defensive energy? I think that orb may have been grabbed already. If not, they probably run right by it to start here. Nope, just a little bit for RGL. And we're going into the sight vans. Great choice on the gamble here for MIBR.
Som just spraying with the Spectre. The first blood there onto Heat. Ori's playing on the top of the staircase to land one between the eyes of Crashies.
Spike planted.
There was a slight delay as he was able to pull up a small nanostorm, allowing the rotate to happen early for NRG. As FRZ, we mentioned that flank, that lurk. But it's weighted by Finesse. Another one to fall here, so it's going to be an attempt of another person to lurk into the late rotate. High Tide's already come up, the Cove too. Guaranteed a halfway defuse.
One enemy remaining.
Now Artis just continues to spray. Through goes 2 kills. Doesn't even matter for this flank. NRG is now up at 10, and they are looking very convincing on this map, Pearl.
2 very quick rounds. They want to see split to decide this one. See what the weaponry is. It is going to be just that Spectre coming out for Finesse. Will be fine to call the shots and use the guiding light. But looking at MIBR, this is the attack background. Can they stop the momentum of NRG? If not, this could just fold over into that victory, as NRG is commanding and demanding how this map flows right now, even from the defensive side. Killjoy utility over at A now. Push up to B. The NRG is just trying to make MIBR play sweaty and get in their faces right away if they can.
Even a Trailblazer is only going to sprout 1. NRG wants to give that up right away.
Reckoning now comes up. They check the site. Cascade of forwards. Looks like this actually may hit right now. If we get the dash in from Heat, that's going to be the trigger for the go from everybody else. See, not yet. Not yet. This is just waiting.
Ooh, okay. GCC gets a nice entry, though, onto Crashies. Finesse now spotted in the back of the pit. High Tide then retaliated by NRG as they're trying to crawl back into Flower Pot. And Artis gets the paint shell kills onto JZZ. Nobody's really going for a plant, which is going to want to go for a last-minute plant, potentially towards the B site. The Reckoning comes out first. And Heat catching Som, running away. Heat also dashing away. But all of MIBR is actually looking to re-hit towards the A site.
30 seconds left.
Artis on the off angle.
Last player standing.
Everything being well watched by MIBR.
Really nicely contacted in. That's not often you see once utility kind of takes a breather that a team will just walk in, especially Heat. Heat walks forward, JZZ just behind, and only once they were in the site for quite a while did Heat then activate his dash, ready to move. So MIBR playing that one a little differently to not alert NRG on the re-hit. Nicely done. Little mind games, and they're able to take that round and garrison the site well. Not many go down for MIBR, which spells good things for economy, and we're going to see that down in the dumps for NRG here as we get to round 16. Bit of a B play with that A extremity push coming from NRG again, so MIBR looking to get early fights. 3 just swinging out right away here as they love to trade in the beginning of the round.
Victor's about to cross over. He just got spotted. There's going to be 3 players spraying there. Thankfully, he's got the toxic screen. Manages to follow back. And already an early rotate. With the amount of shots that came out here onto screens, he's looking for backup. And all of NRG is currently doing that.
A little bit of a rethinking of the situation here by NRG. You see Crashies move back to B-Link for a little bit of an audio cue if anyone moves through mid, but this back and forth from MIBR. The shots are hitting now, and from Icebox to this, they're still working the map so well to make sure they'll find where the site is freer to hit and safer to post-plant.
And for NRG
5v5.
to gamble the way that they did towards this B side was, of course, seeing that they have Valor buy into this round. So with the
30
amount of
seconds
shots
left.
that came out, where they were hoping for another one of those super late round hits. Or super late hits, rather, into the round like they did the previous rounds for MIBR. But instead, it's going to be the attackers planning towards the A site. And NRG really clearing everything around the map, trying to find where Maurice could be.
Well, no matter what happens here, a lot of ult for NRG. Next round, it starts off in the back dugout.
He's just holding everybody back. You could definitely see it here for NRG. We're not really trying to go for a tap or anything, trying to keep MIBR within the radius of the spike to go off. Crashy's waiting just behind the high tide. Here's the footsteps.
Terminated.
And then here's that flash. Finesse trying to get the last 2 kills outside of A-Long, but he gets stopped himself. MIBR, no matter what, will still get the round.
Another A push coming in. Obviously, that was going to be a tough one from NRG. MIBR cannot let those rounds feel like they play it slow. They have to be dictating what happens from B, then to A. They haven't worked mid. NRG had a very big focus towards the middle to late game of first half of working Artist mid, kind of finding a fight at B-Link. It just seems like it's where's Heat going? Everybody's got this, one of those little baby ropes onto Heat and just follow him around, right? At least 2 people have that trifecta of assistance to help activate Heat. And then once you've either fought at A main or fought at B main, you back up to the middle of the map and re-hit with some gusto. 10-6 now as MIBR start to close that gap. Here, NRG is going to call the timeout.
First one now being called by Chet. By the way, has been looking very handsome lately.
Right? Stoic.
Must admit. But yeah, definitely seeing how NRG have been playing towards this defensive half. Been trying to play more reactively and delays off the Killjoy utility that's being placed by Crashies. They're reading it correctly into the moments, but into these retake plays, into the battles when it's supposed to get brawly. MIBR still seems to pull ahead. And that's what the Des was mentioning before too, how MIBR's played on that first map on Icebox. Look at this one here. Especially playing into the double controller. You want to play inside that little pit that's created from both of the controllers? We'll fight in that. And MIBR slowly finding that groove on the attack as well with that type of playstyle.
Oh my gosh. Reading each other's minds, Vansili.
It's always like that. Couple of flashes on both ends. Still losing Heat for Finesse is a big plus with how Heat's starting to activate onto the second half.
Satchel out.
Meanwhile, here for NRG, they still have their own duelists as Artist is pushing back.
Yeah.
Holding it with Som! Would they both get picked off by Moritz, allowing now MIBR to slowly gain more back control.
Player standing.
Now this man, talked about him before. Unsung heroes in a way that he's been actually lurking around on Icebox before and has put up a stellar performance on these lurks against Crew last week. And we're definitely seeing why they managed to scrape that victory against Crew last week, 13-11. They're looking to bring the comeback into this second half on their attack half against NRG.
Their choice of Pearl. We'll see if this is the reason, right? If their attack half is the one they can really get going. Super cool take into the site. Smart play after NRG's timeout. Recognizing Artists could be going for ultimate. Well, JZZ is one away well, and they did get the orb, so Seekers for next round. But that was an instant fight to shut down the showstopper from coming in. Both ultimate possibilities were there fighting at A main. And MIBR just comes out swinging on that. So the timeout snuffed out. And MIBR now 3 away on these rounds to get back into this game for a tie. No real different setup here for the side of NRG. Looks like they'll keep 2 on one site, 3 to the other. And we'll see if MIBR even changes up their way of protecting things or pushing into. Still no real mid play we've seen coming from them too much. That was kind of one of the first ones we had an art alert going into. So here we go. They are going mid.
A mid for attempt of potentially a crunch. A lower buy for NRG. Trailblazer coming out, forcing Heat to activate a dash very early.
Yeah.
So it's a nice little trade-off for utility. Heat still has it activated, so might try to look for something here through the double doors of B-Link. Gains control of Plaza. Finesse is forced to fall back. He's not going to find anybody to be able to heal him because it's him.
They might be able to identify too. RGL being there with FRZ. A lot of the times you'll see Cascade and Guiding Light being thrown together. So that could be even more info for MIBR than we know right now. Well, they just got that too. Harbor's on the right. So that info is now privy to MIBR. Good lurk here by FRZ. But it's going to be the B play, the B hit. They're going to walk right into Crashy's utility to start this off. Nothing really to clear that util, so this is all going to have to be in the moment.
30 seconds left.
30-second pit. And Victor has to play inside it with the Guardian. High Tide now comes out. So a perfect call, a perfect read for NRG. Here comes now the Seekers onto the attack. It's going to come in from the B-Link, so that's going to spot Victor right here. Just trying to stay alive, just trying to keep this pit up. A counter Viper's pit on the attack with 10 seconds left. Victor just holding it across the corner. Crashies is there for 2 kills. Comes out to Heat to fight back. Now the spike has been planted. Maritz now dancing out of his hit to be able to get the kill onto Crashies. Showstopper out. Clearing out towards the back of the site. Both did not have to move in. What? Oh my gosh. Maurice still dancing around the pit to get the last kill onto Artis. These preemptive showstoppers that are coming out from Artis, trying to land these shots, trying to catch opponents off guard, just misses the mark so many times on the executions here for NRG.
So many neat things to pick out there for MIBR. Just 2, obviously we saw 1 at the end there, Maritz playing the dancing game, being able to just get the upper hand, but also the entry onto screens with Heat going up and RGL going under. They would have had such a cool way to penetrate that Viper's pit if somebody was looking up quickly for Heat. So a lot of little in the play distractions, protocols they were creating there to make that happen. 8 to 10 now. The gap gets smaller. MIBR closes within 2 rounds. They play the same strat we just had from last round. A little bit less B-Link focus to start, but this spread of the members is normal. NRG, though, taking way more space than usual on this gun round. And they do get a bit of info to start off this, but they'll reset. Noise towards B. NRG is going to start leaning 1 back over there. Artis starts to change position. And they're just leaving A. They're happy with the retake here eventually. Plus, they're expecting a reckoning probably to come through.
And interesting enough here for this round, FRZ has an operator in his hands, locking down towards the A site. As he hears nothing, Artis in a battle in a late lurk against Maritz, who now falls back. Seekers is going to spot at least some players very close.
Wow.
Only 2 players are playing inside the site. Reckoning to come out on the attack. Som's just trying to get some sprays through the High Tides. Now he pushes back with his own High Tide to regain space towards the A site, but Heat has already dashed in. Pain Shell's now out from Artis. A little bit of damage onto Heat. But then the Cove comes up in an attempt to plant for MIBR. 13 seconds left. Ran through, but saved by FRC. Another attempt of a plant. As we're just spraying across, JZZ answers back on the Som. 4 seconds left, and finally the plant comes down. Finesse then gets
4v2.
swamped by JZZ. As a 2-player disadvantage comes out for, make that even up. 3-player disadvantage. Crashy's trying to come out for the clutch.
Wow.
As MIBR, man, they are fighting super well in these close quarter battles.
And Vansili, that round, the minimap told such a story. With such a sight hit coming in from MIBR, we saw Victor at B almost until the spike was permanently planted. they were not ready, right, to come through. We see them now coming in through the art area, but there was such a reluctancy to move, to think MIBR could still be hitting B. This is what they've got in NRG's brain right now, right? NRG is waiting for that fake play to happen, that move back to the other side of the map, because that's all MIBR has done, and it is paying off so well.
Now here comes the last timeout out for NRG as well. So early called into the half. Both teams definitely using here to try to figure out how they want to work their attack. Something that's been mentioned from Moritz as well for MIBR when he was talking about his team's play style. Kind of giving a lot of hype around this roster, around this team, where it's not about like trying to copy the top dogs of Brazil. It's not trying to play the same style as Loud that puts them at the top. They're able to develop their own style, which really, it's a lot of mixes of, yes, you could activate into like the W style of how Heat could be activated thanks to the initiators, but they could also do a lot of these defaults. A lot of slow plays, a lot of lurks that could still work very well for this team. So it kind of really keeps your opponents on their toes. There's no more of that signature hold W Dua Bala here for MIBR or just for the Brazilian region.
Been a while since I heard that. But the thing is, I should say, and the thing is, the teams still expect that, right? They wonder, are they doing it? Are they not? So when you don't, it's almost even more of a loop to be thrown for Heat onto Artis, starting off this round.
Spotting it and identifying it. Finesse is trying to do everything under his power to try to get the trade with that Spectre. But we make it out unscathed. 50 armor, 100 HP on Heat. As NRG into this round, yes, the timeout was called, but it's also to try to figure out into the next round, as they'll finally have a little bit more coming through in terms of that econ.
You just mentioned this, fans. They don't always go, you know, that slow can happen.
Yes.
They have such a good style now to where they've been hitting site after site, toying with NRG, and now it's just silence. How are you going to react to this? Also, I'm sure MIBR doesn't want to walk around a corner and find any of these judges or shorties Sam has been firing off throughout the series. So they keep it safe. A few of the gun trades around. FRC gets the up here as they head into sight.
Fake bot dance long.
30 seconds left.
He dashes in now because of this Vandal to clear the space. So that's what the trade was for. Allowing now MIBR to do a very safe plant inside the B site with 18 seconds left. Crashy says lockdown though. NRG's closing in. And Crashes gets that first kill on that retake attempt. Zom on the top of heavens. Util being used, Util being heard. We're playing behind a high tide, but it's still NRG to fight back.
Enemy remaining.
A 2 versus 1.
Not planning for long.
And it's usually was FRZ that had that lockdown and never had a chance to use it. And because it's not planted for long, it's an easy defuse for Som.
Ultimate ready.
That, it comes down to the plant, Van Silly.
The crowd's like, where's the up?
Yeah.
Where's the up? We didn't want to give it to Artis anyways, right?
No, not gonna happen. Just the Marshall if you want that, right? But yeah, that came down to the plant. Interesting choice to want to switch it up for that one, just in terms of safety, but it does cost them the round, and they can't keep the op either. That's a retake. Coming in for the side of NRG, though. Cannot deny it. They have been beaten and battered down the past round after round, and they finally stopped the bleeding on a Thrifty. This push happens again, though. So they're not deterred from pushing up and trying to take this space. MIBR might be hitting the shots, but NRG still trying to formulate plans to putting this game back to a win.
Yeah, that plan there for NRG is really try to take control of that top B halls. And just trying to keep MIBR aware that there might be some players now positioned, posted up there, forcing them to move towards a different side of the map. They rotate quickly, but as we're jumping across, I don't know if that was actually heard here from those lurkers, from that forward push from MIBR through that mid connector.
One of the few mid plays we have here. I feel like a play like this can activate the Reckoning from NRG and maybe use it falsely, but it's something MIBR has to be aware of. The post plan is not going to be easy here, as NRG is going to come swarming in with a lockdown and Reckoning. Already a main control Van Silly. They got to be aware of that.
That's the thing. 2 players playing on the top there. It's traded out, but that's perfect. And Crashes is still alive, so he has that lockdown from that previous round. And him staying alive is huge because it doesn't allow
30
MIBR
seconds left.
to play a post plan. Even catching players, pushing forward to try to take crashes
Sam.
down. Some fights one and kills one from behind. 20 seconds left now. Seekers now coming out. That is courtesy of the attack here from GZZ. Some under heavy attack, hit by one of the Seekers. 13 seconds left. He's being saved by Artist, who comes out towards the back of the
10
site.
seconds left.
Things are looking good here.
One enemy
Until then,
remaining.
Spike now falling down.
Spike down A.
So I'm still watching it on a 2 versus 1. No time left
Player
for the plant.
standing.
So no matter what, it is going to be map point for NRG.
Nicely played between the ultimates. They knew how
Match
much they could
point.
delay. Lockdown gets saved for this round for NRG. They have a bit of a fail-safe. Playing their life in sight is a possibility, but it could be dueling lockdowns. We have a lot of ults to come in here, Van Silly. A play still gets the Killjoy utility. NRG will switch up a bit, but I think they watch mid a little bit more here. They realized MIBR did try to make a play through that mid area to get NRG off on the back heel. A judge for finesse. Looks like he wants somebody to come right through that B link this time. He's itching for it. It's the B long play, however, as all of MIBR swing for the first frag again. Big damage on JZZ, but it's traded.
There's a gap in that high tide, or that cascade, that allows for MIBR to move now into this B
You
site.
should run.
Already, all of the ults are being used into this round. Plant coming in, done. Low HP is RGL, but still stays alive. Throws another cascade, blocking off some vision. Crashy's moving in, doesn't care. Couple of players detained on both ends. But that's a big kill that Crashy's needed. And for the rest of MIBR.
Only one Viper bite.
Here comes that Cove out for the defuse. Half and halfway, but it's being sprayed by MIBR. Only one player left. They're so low on HP. One snake bite at least. Kill from the grave is gonna be Victor. But MIBR stays alive. The thing is right here, though, Riv, is that they used all of their ults into the round to be able to win that round. But the silver lining as well for MIBR is that they're forcing potentially a low buy, an eco, out of NRG. So this may come down to the last round of regulation once again.
You still have the Blade Storm to come up from Heat. Do they activate, and how hard do they activate Heat here? Rotation in mid from FRZ. 3 stacked by NRG towards A, but also art control if it comes to it. Few ultimates away, so orb grab here would only be for what could happen later in the round. They set up the same start. B cascade, B wall. Let NRG see the same thing. And it might be changed up here towards the middle part of the round, the mid-round calling for MIBR to come into play.
Different for Victor. Look at the toxic screen coming up to try to cover up.
It's
This
much
might
bigger.
help for the retake for NRG as well. As MIBR once again are looking for this B hit. Spike's already moving through. Victor already fell down, so that wall for that retake that we just talked about cancels out.
This post plant's gonna be tough to retake.
So I'm so close here. Waiting for the high tide to come down. The flash for the peak. RGL not affected by it. It will eventually come down to this last round of regulation. The last 2 players only with frenzies for NRG. Well, I mean, it's some damage there from Finesse.
Yeah.
2 kills with that.
But the buy comes through, Vans. What is this last one? Light armor. Looking at NRG for a moment just to see what they do have. Seekers.
Yeah, exactly. From those 2 kills and a death, those Seekers are now available for Finesse.
The frenzy actually comes up so big here. The fight for A main, though. Do they go for this artist showstopper fight again? It could also be a reckoning depending on what they want. And it's just a retakes mentality. Look at where NRG's playing here. MIBR is going to be able to grab this site, and if it's a plant for Maurice, it's a pit as well. So they could lock this down really quick.
They might just want to go for the orb too, because there's 4 players. Everybody's stacked up from MIBR on that side, and there
Easy.
you go. Orb now picked up. Pit is available for a plant. Meanwhile, on the other end, though, we've picked up the Reckoning for Som. So this might become a very, very gruesome battle in the last round of regulation.
Overtime on the horizon.
And the plant comes in once again for long range. There's that pit. There's an early Seekers. Heat pushing towards the spawn. The first blood to Som. Everybody's dropping instantly for our NRG. Crashes low on HP, even at 1 HP inside the pit. And we are indeed going into the extra rounds as MIBR looked very convincing on that
Switching
hit.
sides.
Wow.
Overtime.
MIBR's timeouts, after NRG's timeouts, it just feels like they have been able to reset and find themselves the round needed to get this comeback here. You see the team vibe and Heat feels good. Maurice, that's me. That's not them. This is our game, as he's saying. Oh my gosh. Overtime, round 1. Let's see what we got. Looking at the compositions, he does it again. He is going with the naked up. He loves this pressure. He loves to put this pressure on his opponents, on the defensive operator. Onto the screen, he's posted up on his perch.
Placing swarm grenade.
And they actually are going to stack the left side of the map here, leaving Crashy's all alone by himself.
Keep in mind also that NRG's utility on the attack with the double controller setup, though, we're really good at nullifying these aggressive positions from Heat on that defense.
Right.
So that's an early Trailblazer, just to really clear out towards control, counter flash to come out.
They're ready for MIBR to be up long B already, Vansily. You cannot second guess anything. MIBR is around every corner. And Heat here on screens. 13.
He finally has to activate it. Trying to swing out, and he's actually in the radius to get re-healed now. But Saw's watching it. Headshot now, advantage out for NRG, moving into the site. Flash attempted by JZZ, trying to push in through. Artis is getting the satchels in. Oh, RGL though continues to spray, putting down Artis. Spike has not been planted because of all of the pressure coming out from MIBR. But thankfully, it's still on the back here of Som, falling back towards the pillars. Counter spray is coming through on both ends, but it's just light damage being done. At the end of the day, it is a player advantage for NRG with 30 seconds up on the clock. As this might be the cue for NRG to fight right back. Flash in 3 seconds available. Standing. Make that in 0 seconds as Victor just got picked off by JZZ. Or sorry, the opposite. Killed by the snake bite. As RGL now in the back of the site.
Spike planted.
Information's already there. Crashes gets the kill, and NRG's back in the lead.
Can we talk about that Molly on the screen? What the heck? Really awesome distraction Molly coming in. NRG with all of the answers there to make that attack and post-plant look easy and take it away from MIBR. And they'll call the timeout. Chat wants a word. Let the team know this, and this. Just the 3 points, I promise. And they'll be coming into this next one. MIBR, though, I think they're going to come out very, very strong. We talked about how they gas each other up, and overtime is not a moment to slow down. He still waiting on his buy. He's trolling us. He didn't buy it. Wish I could tell you. But he may not go for the operator. We saw Vansily switches through MIBR, giving the op to FRZ. Rounds when Heat, after they were not winning with the op, going back to a rifle to allow the team to initiate together. So that might be the choice here. When we come back on screen, we see Heat with that Vandal.
An important timeout indeed. Looking now here at NRG on the defense. It has been at least the weaker side for both of these teams, actually. Now to see, do we want to fight back towards that mid? There has been that pressure before coming out of MIBR. Do you want to push outside of that? Do we want to get aggressive through the middle instead of the extremities? Yeah. Just to try to catch MIBR off guard. The defaults that MIBR are currently playing, so you want to really try to isolate at least one of those key lurkers, being Maurice, and then deal with JZZ later. I mean, if I was NRG playing, I was like, I gotta avoid JZZ instead.
Yeah, I was just about to mention him. The desk brought up JZZ as well, and mentioning that all of MIBR is on top of their fragging ability right now to make these comebacks happen. NRG forces through. It looks like they find the aim and precision on the last round of overtime, I should say.
Okay. This changes a bit. You have a flash coming out and then also a Trailblazer, but no support coming out from Artis. So only a solo hold in that area. That condition that NRG has been doing towards that B halls before. You saw it being pinged earlier on there by Maurice looking at the control. And because of that, look at MIBR. They're moving towards the A site where there's a 3-player stack from NRG.
Seeing if they can draw any of this utility.
Oh. Pain shells.
Oh, nice molly.
Thrown early. You talked about trying to force out early utility. They're able to do so as Crashies gets instantly traded out by JZZ. Now it's up to 1 player in the back of the site. Solo hold, solo play.
They go back to A here?
Probably not. Not
Probably
at this
not.
point.
Not in the dive in.
The spike's committed. And Finesse does get the first turns around on the other end, but GZZ's still there. Spike now moving forward from long B. High tide to move up. And this is not supposed to be some sort of back rotate. This is going to be a late lurk coming out of FRZ.
It's going to have to start coming in.
Tap first onto the spike. Oof. Now the full plant coming through. Again, buying some time to allow this flank to happen. It's up to NRG to decide if they want to move really quickly now into the site. Boombot already trying to clear out the angles. JZZ prepped up with a flash. Not even needed. Pulls out the rifle first and does get that third kill into the round.
2v2.
And here's that lurk from the bottom to make it a 2 versus 1. Low HP is Som at 2.
All targets clear.
It's time to stretch your legs, chat. We might be going a few extra rounds here on Pearl.
Another
Switching
overtime
sides.
between these two teams.
Overtime.
FRZ comes up big with the lurks, being able to be the pivotal player in the end, that key factor that is the win condition for the round. And it was a great call, Vansili. The plant tap to get NRG excited that it's plant, but it was a delay on the plant to still allow the lurk to come in. So way to play the time. If they had planted, maybe NRG comes in right away.
Yeah.
And they don't have that lurk timing. So really smart stuff by MIBR to be able to just delay the round a little bit. Now call a timeout. Both coaches going to go right in to get this info to their teams in a tense moment. And MIBR with a chance to close this out. I mean, that said, kind of an upset here when you think about it. NRG was not expected to lose. Now maybe 2 maps in a row. Vansili.
Might just be a day of upsets if this happens. C9 earlier on today, getting that victory against 100 Thieves, this time MIBR.
Yeah.
Showing that top dog ain't top dog. That maybe when you're looking at even at Plat Chat in terms of the tier lists that they have in their rankings, maybe there's no tier break. MIBR definitely pushing NRG to the brink.
Yeah. Five seconds, we're back into this one. It's going to be MIBR back on defense. No real pushes around the map for now. This B link has been covered a little bit more, knowing it's a common place for these two teams currently to find that 1v1. A quick hit in. Artist has found a few of his opening rounds there that really got NRG what they have in terms of being in the lead, but that has been closed up by MIBR's map control, playing off of heat, and really using this double controller composition to the max. We see a deeper high tide actually coming through to start for that mid control. Usually just goes around the inner wall as MIBR look to take this space and figure out what NRG's doing right off the bat.
They've done this, getting the high tide out, but usually rotates over the B link. This time, it's MIBR that's looking to push. Crashies is waiting though while the execution happens towards the B side. Crashies gets the information on 2 players, so some room to breathe for NRG to plant inside this B site. The heal coming up now for Finesse. On to his teammates. The plant's a little bit deep. So there's an opportunity to do a safe defuse if MIBR could move in here from that B link and then initiate the defuse from there. Only Artist is playing towards the back of the site. Maurice is moving forward. That flash assist allows for him to get another one. Finesse answers back. There's only 1 left to go. It's RGL, 31 HP. Cove up, full HP and armor are 2 players. He lands a nice one there. Cascade up, tap onto the spike. The kill is sticking through. Victor's so smart. Victor's so smart for that win. And NRG once again regain the lead.
He gives him the barrel of the
Switching
gun,
sides.
Vansili.
Match point.
Oh, that's so cheeky. Not even the jump peek for the shoulder, just the barrel of the gun. Wow, that's a heady play right there, coming in from NRG. Easy, quick shot to end it out. RGL. I thought RGL actually had an angle there, especially with the cascade coming out. So really neat to see how each player is just interpreting the situation. NRG make that look quite easy as Victor picks it up. 14 to 13. NRG back in the lead here, up to MIBR for the aggressive strat. So we're about to get the wall drop.
We're getting the Doug and Sideshow treatment.
We are the longest.
Bear is about to come up and then boom.
Technically, it is a pause. KJ or Killjoy Utility is going to be set up at B here for this, and An interesting time to have a pause. I'm sure MIBR wants to get right into this round, focused on that B setup strategy again, where it doesn't look like they would end there unless we see the kill in B link, unless we see that FRZ has been able to identify either by audio cue or visual cue on his util. There has been a bit of a rotation. That's when we see MIBR really use the snap judgment. We see Artis here talking with Stage QA.
Yeah.
See what is up.
There's definitely no visual cues for now, as we seem to have a monitor issue now with Artis. So we're just going to get that fixed real quick and
turn
then
it
continue
on.
on into the overtime.
It helps.
Did you turn it off and on again? Did you try that? But yeah, that definitely breaks the hype that you're bringing into the following rounds here, especially how NRG was able to retake or at least hold the pulse plant. MIBR was usually very good of like using JZZ to flash, have the other ones push out and get the first entries, the first kills on a retakes. And this is one of the few moments here on a pulse plant on B. They're able to hold it strong for Energy. It didn't have to be one of those moments where it's just like 5 guys spraying through smokes onto a long B plant.
Honestly, I feel like that's what we're getting a lot of the time. Phantom Supremacy has reared its head quite a bit here recently in the meta. We still see Vandal lovers around, but man, the amount of double controllers, Phantom just plays into that. NRG bring us to split if they're able to take this next one, which honestly is kind of a toss-up for both of these teams, with NRG having a map on it and feeling pretty good. We do not know very much of what MIBR can bring to the table, so I think we get another very back-and-forth game if we go to that here. Tech pause in our second game, second overtime too.
Yeah.
They're going into third, or I guess still second overtime, second half of all the twos. I'm partial to thirds, honestly.
Too many numbers. Too many numbers for me to think about.
Never. 70% to the 6. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but at least when you're looking back here at these compositions for both of these teams playing this double controller, how do you see this play out so far? For me, it's very hard and very difficult playing around like this single initiator, at least on the defender, have to try to get information into the late rounds, into the mid rounds, because there's really only that sky. How do you rotate players across? And for the rest, it's just, okay, well, if it's not going to find information on one, get re on another part. You're gambling stacks off rotates off information that you're potentially getting or not getting off the sky. And when you're playing against a team that defaults into a double controller, it's very hard to get those correct reads. And I think that's why we're seeing a lot of back and forth here on the defensive side.
It's almost really a mirror comp, except for Heat and Artis. I think that's why you get such an even matchup on these takes. It's kind of a mirror of the utility you'll have to answer each other, create your own angles, and then it's what can those duelists do? What can they promote? I think for the side of Energy, we said that star power is one of the things that plays in big here. If these rounds are coming down to the 1v1s and whatnot, you want the SOM getting the 4Ks, the point where they can gas themselves up into these situations. MIBR has been very lurk-oriented in the way they get these kills. It's always very kind of under the radar is the perfect way to say it, that they have the back of NRG. So I think if they can provide that again, they can start to work the map. NRG doesn't have a chance to get these highlight frags or double multi-kills coming in.
Yeah, and let's talk about that difference between the Heat and Artis. I don't know if you did, Hubert. I'm sorry, I just had
no, you did.
Ears saying that
I was saying
monitors,
numbers about kills, so obviously numbers.
But let's talk about those differences here between Heat and Artis. The op versus the rifle as well. The type of entries that you're getting on Artis so far versus Heat on the operator from round to round. How do you see this playing out? What's the plus and the minuses for the duelists from both of these teams?
I think with Artis, Energy has to be, and this is kind of a plus and a minus, is that Energy has the chance to explode onto a site a little bit faster, but I feel like the distance the Raze creates is a lot harder to catch up, right? If you talk about cutting off the duelists from their team, I feel like that's much easier to do for a Raze and their team than it would be for a Jet. A Jet's going into the smoke and creating chaos and still hidden. Raze doesn't really have much to hide in unless that utility is facilitated already. So the fight happens right when the Raze goes in. Everybody has to be there. The fight with the Jet, it's a little more surrounded by the team before Jet pops out of the smoke and plays a jack-in-the-box surprise. So that's a big difference. I think that calls upon Artis to really have that first kill potential, which we've seen in this series, called upon and answered, and they've been able to shut down Heat in the other sense of that, where Heat's not getting a lot of those frags we're seeing this time. Still 19 and 20, but usually leading the charge in a lot of these, and NRG's able to shut that down.
Artists, for me, at least what I like to see, potentially, maybe, I'm not the IGL, I'm not how the comms are really going right now here for NRG, but I'd like to see them hold on to these showstoppers a little bit more when they're trying to regain space or gain the space into a map so that everybody gets exactly, and everybody else can keep into positions or get into positions before we're able to actually resume into the post plan. And speaking about resuming, we actually had a chance here to reboot the computer of Artis. So we're going back into the game. So thank you so much, friends here in the Riot Arena, for your patience. I saw a couple of you do the wave right there.
They're ready. Gassing themselves up in the tech pauses. You gotta love it.
And ready for a third map potentially, because I heard a lot of NRG fans in there hoping for this third map to happen, and it's almost there. Map point now for NRG, 14-13.
This setup has been rock solid for NRG. They play it every time.
Poison's off.
You said, what'd you say? It was rock solid for NRG?
Rock solid, yeah. Every time. I think we actually might get a tech here, as we did see the play wasn't according to Artis on his screen. They're going to be looking back to QA, so we'll get another quick pause. Vans, you cursed it. You absolutely trolled everybody.
I think I was Gucci. We podcasted getting ready here into the map up, but unfortunately, yes, everybody's just trying to figure out, can you spot the differences on that rooster of that B-Link door?
Can you? Yeah. They're the same, by the way.
Yeah, so we'll wait and see what we currently have here as soon as we get the updates for you here, chat and audience, to let you know when we could actually get back into the game. But again, this is going to be a little bit unfortunate, though. You're looking at the early rounds where it was a very slow start for MIBR. Once again, another one of those slow default rounds, and then an explosion into the B-Link that could indicate a lean towards a mid-hit. But now, that could potentially be one strat that's just out the window.
Right, you play that, you hope to be able to make it work, and everybody's on the same page. I think it's the do we run it again kind of potential. Yeah, I think they do. It's a solid start looking for the 1v1, and you can play it anywhere else on the map. Just for a quick idea, we are going to get that round replayed, so they're just going ahead, resetting it. We're going to get back in, no problemo for this one. Just a little bit more of a wait. Thank you so much for your patience online and here in-house. But yeah, looking at how that works, it's the 1v1 fight, so they can go to look for it anywhere. Yeah. I don't think we get these, orb fights for long, right? Nobody wants the orb, but that is a place you can fight for a 1v1. It just becomes more of this. Everybody's piled up. I think the corners favor the side of NRG when you're getting that A fight. You have the box to hide behind and a few more angles, so maybe the mid fight happens again, or MIBR does their, we're rushing out long B, give me a quad swing by everybody and see who will give us the first peek. It hasn't been Victor. Victor's staying back on his util. They keep that wall up and just make sure that they can clear. And I like the way that NRG's been coming back in to clear. They don't take front side of Hall, they take back side of Hall when their B wall is up on defense. And they're able to kind of hit more of a two-pronged attack on it. I think that's why MIBR has been having such trouble. Words are hard at that B site post plant.
Now for MIBR, you're looking, you talked about the pushes towards mid, the work towards long B, the explosion towards long B, and not too much talking about the A side in terms of like the early rounds for NRG, especially on defense, when you're throwing the high tide rather, and the guided light, trying to push a triple play from NRG on that side of the extremity. They've been very, very resourceful and successful at not only winning the gunfights, but also orb control. So maybe that's one of the things that MIBR is like, okay, let's try to forfeit that a little bit more into our early game, into our early plans, and maybe try to finally, once they find the opportunity to work back towards the A side, add that extra piece coming out from one of these timeouts, definitely not tech pauses, but one of these timeouts here that could be called out from Maurice and from BZK, to make sure that you can try to capitalize on NRG's aggressions on these extremities.
MIBR has played the 3-1-1, whether that's 3 towards A or 3 towards B, leaving FRZ and Maurice on the flank. We're going to be diving back into this one.
Yep.
Straight in. If you're just joining us, it is second overtime here. Possible game point for NRG.
Definitely give yourselves a round of applause here, chat. And also to the audience for your patience as now, once again, we're restarting things, resuming things with NRG. Back at map point, looking to push this to the third map, which would be split. If they're able to do this now, if they're able to hold another round against MIBR, who once again are looking for a very fast execution, at least into the early rounds towards the B side.
NRG with that mid control right off the bat. You guys saw Trailblazer almost go all the way into spawn and spot out FRZ, but I don't think they actually got a catch. That's definitely aware that somebody is in B shops. This is really first time Artis is being the one committing to a site here. Usually that's Marie's. Artis is not floating on this one. He's gonna choose B.
I love as well from MIBR, yes, you had somebody that got spotted towards B shops, but they had two players watching playing. And while Maurice actually got picked off by, or at least a guided light to give his position away, you still had FRZ at the top leaning forwards towards the top of Plaza to hopefully catch somebody off guard. But now that they realize that there's no pressure coming in here towards that mid side, that's an opportunity for a late lurk. That said, though, with 35 seconds left, running into the site, the dash through an Artist greets heat by spraying across, but the snake bite evens up the tally on a 4 versus 4. 30 seconds left, everybody's forced to fall back, re-heal, and re-hit for MIBR towards this B site.
4v3.
Sprays across the end, Artist falls. But we still have at least some players inside the site. Some moving towards the back end.
Delay.
10 seconds left on the clock. The flash! But it does not connect here onto JZZ. MIBR still has something left to stay. They still have some grit. They still have some fight. And we're going into another round of overtime.
We don't even need to plant the spike that time. Just pushing through the site. And almost in a solo scaling formation. Right? One back hauls, another pushing, knowing that they just had numbers up, confidence in each other to get the anchor. And after MIBR had dumped all that util, it came down to the accuracy, and they came out on top. Here, Maurice just pushing forward after those walls fall. JZZ on back haul as well. We just mentioned those two members. Still able to bring up big frags. 14-14 Van Silly as we go OT once again. Mid control now for NRG. No pushes. I thought we were going to see MIBR push out towards A main here. They may still choose to do so, but it's just going to be a Trailblazer to check and get info on the map. They feel like they don't know what enough of what is going on.
Cautious about it, right?
And they keep pushing, though. So using that to get the extremities, as you were talking about.
Yeah. So you could definitely see it from that radar. Jiggle peaks coming out from Maurice. Meanwhile, though, Finesse rotated back from Art onto the top of Plaza and heard that Trailblazer on the other end. So they're like, okay, well, the flash still on the other end towards the A site. Less utility now for MIBR towards B to try to stop any type of pushes that we could do here towards the B site. But it's heat glass cannon.
Yeah, that op ringing out. Forced to push out of the site. Great little bounce on the molly, and now they're going to have to retake fully here. 5v5.
Oh, the timing on that one, too. Oh, he dashes! Face plants right into the wall! And Artist runs him over. Now here comes the Boombot towards the spawn. Just to see and spot another player towards spawn, and it's all players of MIBR looking for the high-low. A big play off the flashes once again from JZZ. Artist is blind, forced to fall back. There's only one player playing towards the back of the site, and it's an assist for a flash to allow Son to move forward. A good look so far on NRG for a post plant. High Tide about to come down. Artist with a third, allowing NRG to get the third into the round. Only one left, and it's Sam putting NRG back at that point.
Almost a flawless as well.
Switching sides.
NRG saw the op. I feel like they punished the op, right? Well, we did see Heat smashing his face into a wall on accident on that dash. The amount of space NRG took as soon as they heard that first op shot, again, depletes what Heat can do from that range.
Yes.
A broken record, but it's how Crew really started to take Heat down as well. NRG's identified it, and they keep doing it when they can. Now onto defense. It's up to NRG to stop the aggression of Heat and the team who went back to the Vandal buy here. This mid play, once again for the 1v1, a quick one-way will stop it for now. But this is just a rotation back to site now for NRG. No early fight, so they go for quick and easy fundamental site holds.
Even on the A side, it seemed like we pushed forward to grab the ore for Artist, so denying that one on the attack, anything for MIBR. 3 players re-aggressing towards A long, giving up all of the mid connector, all of the A site.
Blinded.
Trying to fight against FRZ, who does get the wall bang through the wall, but Sob's around the corner. And there's that first blood. An advantage for NRG that could come huge. But we talked about the space that was forfeited towards the A site, now gained towards middle for MIBR as they're looking for a 2-2 split.
Back call for 2. It's a big defense for those. All up to Crashies and Victor now, unless the team can get here in time.
Cascade, Jiggle Pig, Victor now, snake bite on the ground, Dash coming in from Heat. An assist potentially coming across, support from the end. It's gonna be Artist at the top. Only 1 kill needed. It's Maurice at the bottom, and it's a Sacto to the kill. Artist comes back to fight with the rest of NRG, and we are going to a 3rd map.
That is a sigh of relief from NRG. The entire team coming together there at the end. Artist being able to pop off as well to bring us to a 3rd map, to bring us to split, to decide who's going to take it between these 2 teams. And they can't have given everything here. That was a long one, but Game 3 is going to ask for even more here at Van Silly.
It's insane. It's intense so far for both of these teams, definitely. It's a long day for both of these teams, and especially for everybody watching these 2 series so far. We saw a great series earlier on today, but this one right here, promising now a great 3rd map coming up on Split. Both of these teams that we haven't seen too much so far in the Americas on this map.
It's going to be awesome. I think we have to actually see both teams reach deep into that strategy back here on the next rounds. And we'll have to see different styles of play. We'll get that operator back on both sides. We'll have to see what Artist picks for and what the teams decide to continue playing here. NRG, we saw them actually from 1 week to another switch on to a double controller comp. So they're adapting. We've seen the adaptation from MIBR Van Silly, and it's giving us one hell of a series.
One more time, thank you so much for your patience at home in the chat and also here in the Riot Games Arena. Go stretch your legs, go grab some hot water, hydrate, because when we come back, it's gonna be another map here on Split.